The clock struck 12, not midnight, not anymore. Midnight had fled, leaving only the echo of its chime. In its place, a chorus began. Crows, hundreds, maybe thousands, their cries a raspy symphony outside my window. I sat up in bed, heart hammering. The sound wasn't just loud, it was wrong. Crows don't sing in the dead of night, they belong to the day, to the world of reason and light. This was the hour of owls, of shadows and whispers, but the crows cared nothing for such boundaries. They screamed their discordant song, a mocking lullaby that promised only unease. I pulled the blanket over my head, trying to shut out the sound, the feeling of wrongness that clung to the air. It was no use. The crows knew I was awake, they knew I could hear them, and they were watching. Crows are intelligent, everyone knows that. Too intelligent, some say. Their eyes hold an ancient wisdom, a glint of something that understands more than we do. They watch us, study us, their heads cocked in perpetual curiosity. Or is it judgment? Their intelligence is unsettling. We see ourselves reflected in their gaze, our own capacity for cruelty and cunning. They remind us that we are not so different from the animals, that the line between human and beast is thin and easily blurred. Perhaps that is why they have always been linked to the strange and the uncanny. Harbingers of death, messengers of the other side. Their presence carries a weight, a sense of foreboding that chills the air. They are a puzzle, these feathered creatures. And like all puzzles, they hold a strange allure, a darkness that draws us in, even as it repels us. Madness. It whispers in the corners of the mind, a constant companion to those who have looked too long into the abyss. It distorts reality, twists perceptions, leaving its victims lost in a labyrinth of their own making. And the crows, they understand madness, they embody it. Their behavior, so often erratic and unpredictable, mirrors the fractured thoughts of a mind unhinged. They flit from one thing to another, their attention span fleeting, their motives inscrutable. I have seen the same look in the eyes of a crow as in the eyes of a madman. A wildness, a glint of something broken and feral, a knowingness that is both terrifying and strangely compelling. Are they driven by the same forces, these creatures of feather and flesh? Do they share a common thread in the tapestry of existence, a connection that binds them to the darker side of reality? The thought sends shivers down my spine. They say a group of crows is called a murder. An apt name, I think. There is something inherently violent about them, a savagery that belies their small size. I have seen them tear apart carrion with their sharp beaks, their black eyes gleaming with a primal hunger, and their calls, not just the caws, but the clicks, the whistles, the guttural sounds that seem to emanate from some dark, primordial place. They speak in a language we cannot understand, a language of shadows and secrets. Their behavior is often grotesque. They play with their food, tormenting their prey before delivering the final blow. They mimic sounds, human voices, their mockery, a chilling reminder of our own mortality. Yes, there is a darkness to crows, a darkness that reflects the darkness within ourselves. They are a mirror to our own hidden savagery, our capacity for cruelty and violence. They are always watching, perched on rooftops, on telephone poles. Their black eyes follow your every move. You can feel their gaze on the back of your neck, a constant presence that whispers of unseen eyes. Paranoia, perhaps, but who can say for sure? The crows are patient. They wait, they observe, they gather information. What are they planning? What secrets do they hold in their dark, unblinking eyes? Their presence is unsettling. It preys on the edges of your mind, whispers doubts and fears. You start to question your own sanity. Are they really watching you, or is it all in your head? The line between reality and delusion blurs. The crows become a symbol of your own unraveling, a manifestation of the darkness that lurks within. And the worst part is, you can never be sure if they are real or imagined. They exist in the shadows, in the periphery of your vision, always present, always watching. The world is not as stable as we like to believe. Reality is fluid, shifting, a kaleidoscope of perceptions that can change in an instant. What is real one moment can vanish the next, leaving us grasping at shadows. The crows understand this. They move between worlds, between the rational and the irrational, the mundane and the surreal. They are creatures of liminality, existing in the spaces between, where logic and reason hold no sway. Their presence can trigger these shifts in perception. They pull you into their world, a world of shadows and whispers, where the familiar becomes strange and the impossible seems commonplace. Time bends around them. A minute can feel like an hour like a second. Your senses become heightened, your mind racing to keep up with the ever-shifting landscape of your own perception. You are no longer sure what is real and what is not. And the crows, they just watch, their black eyes gleaming with amusement as you struggle to find your footing in this new, disorienting reality. The owl arrived just before dawn, a silent shadow against the lightening sky, its presence a stark contrast to the cacophony of the crows. Where the crows were chaos, the owl was stillness. Where the crows were darkness, the owl was a beacon of approaching light. For a moment, the two forces held each other in check. The crows, their incessant chatter momentarily silenced, watched the owl with wary curiosity. The owl, perched atop a nearby chimney, met their gaze with an ancient wisdom that seemed to pierce through the veil of madness. Then, with the first rays of sunlight, the spell broke. The crows, as if suddenly remembering their place, took flight, scattering into the morning sky. Their cries, no longer menacing, faded into the distance, leaving behind a silence that was almost deafening. The owl remained for a moment longer, its golden eyes fixed on the horizon as if watching the retreating darkness. Then, with a soft rustle of feathers, it too vanished, melting into the growing light of day. Was it all a dream? The crows, the owl, the feeling of shifting realities, perhaps. But even in the clear light of day, a sense of unease lingered. The world seemed different somehow, sharper, more defined. As if a veil had been lifted, revealing a reality that had always been there, hidden in plain sight. The crows I knew were still out there, watching, waiting. A reminder that the line between sanity and madness is thin, easily blurred. That the world is a stranger, more unsettling place than we care to admit. And the owl, was it a symbol of hope? A harbinger of reason returning after a long night of madness? Or was it simply another creature of the shadows, its presence no less unsettling than the crows it seemed to banish? I closed my eyes, but the image remained. The crows, the owl, the unblinking eye of the morning sun. A silent testament to the enduring power of the surreal, the strange, the unsettling truth that lies at the heart of existence. The world, I realized, was not what I thought it was, and neither perhaps was I.